Hello, 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 everybody. It's Tuesday, Tarot Reviews Day, and here I am back with another awesome deck to show you. This is a really cool deck, so nice. I did it twice. You'll see what I mean in just a moment here. This is the Beyond Lemuria Oracle cards by Izzy Ivy. These are so cool. They're very beautiful. Let's take a look. So this is a deck that is full of psychic art. That's what Izzy Ivy does. She's a psychic artist or an oracle artist, which means that she just sort of works intuitively, channels and downloads things. And so she did a bunch of artworks along the theme of Lemuria. And you might have seen, I think it was sometime early winter, maybe around December or January. I think it might have actually been January when I was doing my top shelf decks. And I have a smudge. What is that? Thanks, guys. And I was talking about, I pulled a card that was actually, it was called Lemuria. And I explained at that time what Lemuria is, that it's a civilization that some people say is mythological, some people say is like spiritual, allegorical, some people say it's real. A lot of indigenous people say it's real, so who knows? I kind of think maybe it was real. But it's this sort of primordial golden age where the divine feminine, it was a civilization built off of the divine feminine, where you had star nations come down from the sky to help seed and like nourish the souls that were already inhabiting this planet, right? And breeding with them, right? And what was cool about Lemuria, or the idea of Lemuria, if you will, is this idea that a notification just came up on my phone from us. Some people who want me to come into their program, and they're calling me future Dr. Catherine, and I like seeing that right now. And what's interesting about Lemuria to me, or the idea of Lemuria, is this idea of a civilization built off of the divine feminine, which doesn't mean that we have a simple shift of power and women are in charge and like no men. It's not like that. It's time moving in cycles instead of lines. It's a civilization built off of attunement and alignment instead of competition and hierarchies, right? It's people being able to fulfill their soul's calling and what they came here to do, because they don't have to worry about survival because the community is interdependent, right? And so I think that that's all really cool stuff. So I like the idea of it, even if it wasn't real. So let me believe in Lemuria. But the cool thing about Izzy Ivy is that she's channeling these beautiful images that are full of light and color and beautiful signs and symbols and just beautiful, like, little creatures who are just so cute and cool and make you believe in something magical and connected and aligned with nature. It really makes you believe in the kind of world that I want to believe in, where there is like a beautiful, healed, loving relationship between earth and spirit and the stars. Like, that's just a cool thing to want to have happened, okay? So beautiful artwork that just really expresses the ideal, lovely little glyphs that might represent light language or Lemurian language. And so this is a great deck to use if you're someone who wants to feel connected, right? This is a connection deck. This is something that I would do for personal study. I use for altar cards. I use when I'm like, if you have those friends, like a group of friends that you like to read with, like my sister and I like to use this deck together a lot, and you're just like having deep conversation with cards as aids and cards as a means of bringing other guides more fully into the conversation. You're having that kind of conversation. This is a great deck to use. This is a great deck to use for a client who needs to feel connected to something bigger or higher, or to get into their heart more, right? So this is organized into 3 different suits. This is organized into a suit of chakras, and it's not just the 7 classic chakras that were taught about, but it's also the thymus, which is the higher heart chakra, which is between the throat and the heart. And that chakra is sort of a gate into those higher understandings of like oneness and Christ consciousness, as Edgar Casey would call it. It also uses, I believe, the Earth Star chakra, and which is like below our feet, and another one, I think the Soul Star chakra, which I think is also below our feet. These are chakras that are between the body and the core of the earth to help keep us like grounded and attuned into the earth's frequencies. And then, so we have the chakra suit. We also have, I have it right here, the elemental suit. And that's like, oh, and I should have known that because here's the ether card. So that's the 4 classical elements plus the element of ether. And I know like the Michelson-Mendelssohn experiment, like ether, the way that like it was expressed by like Newton and our Enlightenment scientists, that does not exist because there's no medium, like space is not static, it's ever moving. And so we know that there's not that kind of ether, but we're talking about ether, which is like a spirit element. Maybe that could be another expression for what plasma does, because like we're just now beginning to learn about plasma as an element, or it could be dark matter, like who knows, but like it's that intangible something that spirit can travel through, right? And then the rest of these are really cool. This is our seed suit, and this is like in Lemuria, knowledge was encoded in crystals, right? Or at least that's what people say. And so this is a suit that contains, they're just like little tiny knowledge nuggets, little containers for just a little something for you to think about. So it's a really cool deck, very splendid. If you're into this kind of stuff, it's a very activating deck and it's a very connecting deck. So I absolutely say that it's a buy. My only gripe with this deck is that it is huge. It is absolutely massive, and that makes it, and like I get it because this artwork is beautiful. We want to see it. We want it displayed. But it is, my hand really struggles, and I can hold maybe this many comfortably, and there's this many left. So shuffling this deck, and even though I'm a side shuffler, can be very difficult for me. So I'm going to instead shuffle and pull a card from my mini deck because it also comes in a pocket size. I love mini decks, and so there are quite a few decks where I have doubles, where I have the full size and the mini, because for so many years I'm living between New York and DC, or I'm living between DC and Italy, and I had to pack light. So I have a lot of tiny sized decks, and a lot of them are things that I also have a double of in full size. So the tiny size deck is so cute too. It has a different back, but or it doesn't have a back at all, because the image is on one side and the meaning is on the other side, so that you don't need a book. So let's just go ahead and give the mini deck a shuffle-roo. One fell out of the big deck, so I think I'm going to read that one too, while I was trying to show you how hard to shuffle it was. So I'm just going to give her a shuffle-roo, and that is the card we literally just saw. Okay. I have a feeling that that's not the right card. I'm going to give her a shuffle-roo, and I'm going to shuffle. This card just came poking up and out. There we go. So let's get our message for the collective today. The first card that we got was number 41, the Realm Bridger from the big deck. So let me grab the book and let's see what 41 is trying to tell us. Ooh, 40 is radical expansion. That sounds great. 41, Realm Bridger, visionaries, architects of the future, information from other realms, bridging the seen with the unseen, inspiration, seeding a new earth, traversing different states of consciousness, birthing ideas from subtle reality, journeying. All right. Have you ever felt that there is more than meets the eye in the perception we call reality? That is because there is more going on between the scenes. Do you ever glimpse beyond your physical senses and wonder if what they perceive is just the tip of the iceberg? Do you ever get visions or insights just as you're falling off to sleep? Do you dream in colors that are more vibrant than you have experienced in waking life? So as you are raising your vibration and explore different states of consciousness, you may experience phenomena that you might have only believed happens in fantasy stories. This is interesting because I'm sitting here talking about and getting in a little bit deeper about this Lemuria, right? And for some people, this is hokum. And for some people, they're like, yeah, I'm already with you. But there are some people who are like, I do have these experiences, but I don't know what they mean. I do have dreams and I see signs and I see synchronicities, but I don't know how to build that or create relationship with that. I don't know if it means something actual or is it in my head. But Harry, of course it's in your head, but why should that mean that it isn't real, right? So Realm Bridgers is about bridging between the physical and the spiritual. I want to pick up this book again. Bridging the seen and the unseen. Intuitive painting is Izzy Ivy's method of connection, but the ability to crystallize the normally intangible can manifest in many ways. What this means is that if you are a person who said yes to any of the questions that I had just asked, consider the fact that you might be a realm bridger. No matter how intellectual or logical or academic you might be, right? No matter how scientific you might be, right? Because I believe that we need both. I believe that we need science and we need magic. I believe that magic is science we haven't yet learned how to explain. I believe a lot of crazy things, and I'm also an intellectual, right? I'm also an academic. I also have to work within the realms of logic, right? But I also have to keep a foot in the realm of wonder, or else I will not survive. In fact, I just need to belly flop straight into the waters of wonder most days, because that is what helps us, I think, to do whatever work we're here to do in the physical more effectively. Most of us, in fact, I think just about all of us have some kind of gift, some kind of ability, some way of expressing and manifesting the spiritual or the magical, right, into the physical, right? There are people who have in the past, I think there's some collective trauma around this, because there are a lot of people who in the past have exploited magic or wonder or the unexplained, the unseen, the intangible, and they have exploited it to try and justify awful things, right? Awful, awful things, things that are not of the light. Things like colonization, things like slavery, things like genocide. These things have been used to I have the answer to the unseen. The I know the unseen and you need to listen to me has been used to give power over. And so I think that there's this collective trauma where we kind of want to push magic away. We kind of want to push wonder away. We want to kind of push the unseen away from us because we can't quantify it or it isn't explained, or we don't have the evidence, right? And we have to have the evidence before we can even begin a kernel of belief. But what if that isn't how belief works sometimes? What if that isn't how wonder unfolds? And there is plenty to wonder at in what can be quantified. There is plenty of the magical in what can be quantified. I will say that for sure, right? But I like to think a lot about, when I teach my art and science class, I teach about Euclid's fifth postulate, right? This was an a priori truth. Parallel lines cannot meet. An a priori truth that people spent thousands of years trying to write a proof for and couldn't. Until finally, we just had to say, that doesn't actually work in 3 dimensions. Euclid was working on paper. Congratulations, smart guy, did a lot of great stuff. We're still looking at him. We're still using him. We're still we don't throw Euclid out in the trash, but we have to think beyond it, because saying that this is the only thing limited us. And when we began to say and go beyond, actually in 3 dimensions, this doesn't work. Let's start thinking about hyperbolic shapes, right? Let's start thinking about different sorts of ways of expressing geometries in 3rd dimensions and discovering how that works. Guess what we got? We got relativity, right? And time became something very malleable. And in motion, it became a dimension. And so there is a lot of magic in what is quantifiable, but there's also a lot of magic in going beyond the quantifiable. We need both realm bridgers, right? You are here to do both and to explore both and to be open to both things, right? So if you said yes to any of those questions from Izzy Ivy's book that she is asking of the reader, if you said yes to any of those questions, begin to ask yourself that magical what if I am a realm bridger? What if there is something here in the tangible, in the material, but there could also be something beyond it? And what would happen if I opened myself up to that and allow that to be a place to play and to find some joy, right? The second one, reclaim your energy, came from the mini deck. Our energy is our responsibility, and how we give it away becomes a conscious choice as we step into empowerment. And yes, it is possible to restore the fragments of the self we gave away before we came to this awareness. You have the power to own your energy and choose where you will direct it. If you are not at your optimal vibration, consider the core of why this may be. Detach from depleting influences and boost positivity. It is up to you to make this shift. Transform your life by choosing healing and self-empowerment. Kick-start the upward spiral to abundant energy and soul presence. What if realm bridging is your path to reclaiming your energy, right? What if realm bridging is your path to reclaiming your energy, to integrating the child and the adult together, to reclaim parts of you? And this goes for the fact, because we were talking about collective trauma, right? What if realm bridging is our way to reclaim our energy from that? If you're feeling exhaustion from that, this is a collective reading. But just a nugget to think about. Yeah, just a nugget to think about, chew on that. The idea that both individually and as a collective, embracing both the known and the unknown, and learning to activate your sense of wonder, even while we live in a realm of logic, might be the path to reclaiming your energy, those parts of yourself that you gave away, parts of yourself where you allowed someone else to take power, where someone took it from you without you allowing them. They just went and stole it, right? And you are taking it back with your own agency. And it doesn't have to be a process that is hard. It can be a process that is soft and full of magic and wonder and joy, right? It doesn't have to be eye for an eye. It doesn't have to be. Reclaiming your energy can be something nourishing. It can be something supportive. It can be something life-giving. And it can be something where you don't have to demand an equal measure of pain for the pain that was taken, or the pain that was given to you, or the pain that you absorbed. You don't have to throw it back in someone's face. You don't have to. You can instead perform the magic of alchemy. Throw that nasty goo into the fire and come out clean, right? Bridge the realms. Bridge the realms. That is my message for today. I love you all so, so, so much. If you stay to the end, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful to spend this little wee chunk of a Tuesday with you. And I will be back next week with a new deck. If you have any questions or guidance that you need around the messages that you received from this transmission today, please send me a DM here or on Instagram at the Lydian Lantern. I love you so much. Have a great week.